We're almost at the end of September. One more day to go after this. September seems to have gone by very quickly. I don't think the year for me has gone by extremely quickly, but September seems to have gone by pretty fast. Not quite sure why. So anyway, more about that later. Maybe not. Who knows? Here is the reading for today. It's called Your Divine Masterpiece. First quote is from a lady called Christine Walters Paintner, and she is what's called a Benedictine oblate. Benedictines are a monastic society within the Catholic Church, men and women. And oblate is someone who lives as a monk or a nun outside of the walls of a monastery. I'm also a little bit confused because she is married. I don't know how that fits in with the picture. And when I looked her up on her own information page, she said she lives in Seattle, Washington with her husband and some dogs. And I think all the US Catholic says that she lives in Ireland, so I'm not quite sure. But anyway, what's more important is what she said, which is, Spirit of Holy Imagination, speak to us in dreams of what you desire to create together with us, making the world a great work of art. Spirit of Holy Imagination, speak to us in dreams of what you would desire to create together with us, making the world a great work of art. And Ernest Holmes, kind of on the same lines, says, creation is the play of life upon itself through divine self-imagination. Spirit must create in order to be expressed. And he's implying, in this sense, just like she is, that Spirit's desire to create is through us, through lots of other things as well, but in this particular instance, to create through us. And this kind of reminds me of quite a few people who've spent some time together. Henry David Thoreau, for one. She says, she is our writer this month, Mary Davis. During a special season of my life, I lived in a cabin alone at the foot of the Blue Ridge Mountains. On my last night there, I had a vivid dream. I was driving up the winding mountain road, and from an aerial view, I could see the whole United States in her magnificent beauty, sea to shining sea, laid out on the other side of the mountain. A masterpiece of infinite possibilities lay ahead. I drove on switchbacks that snaked steeply through the dense forest. Then I realized something amazing. I could create the road as I went along. At every turn, I had infinite choices. And I discussed each choice with a wise companion who loved me unconditionally. We were painting the masterpiece together, and it was a work in progress. The whole scene seemed to be a thumbnail of co-creation with the divine. And best of all, there were no mistakes. There was no judgment and no stress. The entire journey over the mountain, with a palette of unlimited choices, was for the fun of it and for the joy of painting with the Creator. What if every day we are being given the choice to co-create a masterpiece with the divine? A constant conversation, a give and take, a friendly companionship that lifts all limitations and raises us up to the highest position within ourselves and the highest version of ourselves. Maybe part of our purpose here on earth is to know that we can choose to make today an experiment with co-creation, and with every brushstroke to paint with love. Well, Ernest Holmes and lots of other people throughout the decades, centuries, and millennia have said that we are co-creators with the divine, that The divine is the primal source of everything. First cause is the term that's often used. In other words, that which brought everything into existence. And that at this stage in its creation, we are ones chosen and have been granted the gift to co-create with the divine. So Mary Davis, is talking here about us individually co-creating our own lives. And of course, at the same time, she didn't say it, but we are co-creating lots and lots of things outside of ourselves just because we co-create ourselves. So what it does, it gives us freedom. It gives us freedom to experiment with life in a good way, okay? But it also tells us, like she said, there's no, she didn't say no recrimination, but she said, here it is. There was no judgment. She said there was no judgment. So in other words, we make mistakes, but it's okay. And I was thinking yesterday that the times I've learned the most in life have been those times when I made mistakes and I learned from the mistakes. Not necessarily times when I made mistakes, I screwed up and I just got upset with myself and all the rest of it. No, the times when I made mistakes and I learned from it, but also the times when I didn't make mistakes and I learned from it. So in other words, if we are putting our very best into life is going to help us to create things. And also when we make mistakes, there's going to be no recrimination at all. So I think this is great freedom. And that's how it strikes me, as great freedom. So that's all I want to say today. Well, I won't say more, but that's all I'm going to say today. I invite the infinite wisdom of divine source to co-create with me today. I invite the infinite wisdom of divine source to co-create with me today. In every decision, with every brushstroke, we paint a masterpiece of love. In every decision, with every brushstroke, we create a masterpiece of love. And that, folks, is it for today. People like me to end with a prayer, but I'm just going to end with this because I learned it from another minister and I love it. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Everywhere we are, God is, and all is well. And truly, all is well. Namaste.